my youngest, he was probably 4 or 5 at the time. He said, "Hey, when we get home, are you going back out on the road again?" Yeah, I've got to go back out on the road. And said, "I wish you could just stay home because I miss you." That was it. I was done. Don't hesitate. Hit the gas.
Hit the gas, no brakes. The Eric Richards
All gas,
style
no
way.
brakes. That's it. Specifically to investors that would go out and they would buy distressed properties. They would do very little repairs to it, and then they would offer it to people what they would call as rent to own, but they did it on land contracts. But they would put wording in the contract that would allow them to essentially take the property back after somebody paid for it for years and years and years. You'll live in this house for 15 years, and then all of a sudden they'll come in and say, "Oh, no, you defaulted because you were 1 day late 3 years ago." And then take the property back, do bare minimum repairs at that point, and then bring somebody else in and do it again. And then just rinse and repeat the cycle. And a lot of people do that.
Hello, today we're talking real estate the right way. How rent to own can be structured ethically, how to avoid the predatory stuff you hear about, and how to build real business in a local market through trust and community. My guest is Eric Richards from Rich Investment Groups. Let's get into it.
I appreciate the time, Edgar.
Oh, thank you, Eric, for taking time. I met you in Miami from Owners Club with Pace Morby's higher level mastermind.
Yep.
So, Eric, welcome to the Dream Start Own. I'm your host, Edgar the Connector. Before we jump in, give us a 30-second version of who you are, where do you operate, and what does Rich Investments Group do?
Absolutely. My name is Eric Richards. I'm located in Eastern Ohio, almost West Virginia, kind of right on the border. We operate in small towns within a 3 or 4 county radius: Belmont County, Ohio, Jefferson County, Ohio County, and Marshall County, West Virginia. Those kind of our 4 counties that we deal with on both sides of the river. We do a little bit of everything as far as the company goes. As far as Rich Investments, we have, I think, close to 100 doors now that I have, either 100% ownership or partial ownership, where we partnered with other sub-2 and Owners Club members to create. We have fix and flip business. We have wholesale business. We have property management company, property maintenance company, our own podcast studio. We have a lot that we do at a high level, which allows us to kind of be the big fish in a small pond. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a quick highlight of what we do and where we come from. So
excellent. You're one of the few that has multiple avenues going out: podcasting, wholesaling, fix and flip. And how long have you been doing this now?
It'll be 4 years in June. So I got in June 6, 2022.
Wow, 4 years, over 100 doors. That sounds like amazing progress. I think most people that get into it aren't able to scale that fast. What do you think allowed you to scale that fast?
Honestly, that's not even the impressive part. The impressive part is I scaled probably where I'm at now in the last 2 years. I've been in sub-2 for 4 years. I had some partnerships that were in sub-2 that I tried to work with, and they were out-of-state investors, and we were growing and doing well, and they wanted to focus more on wholesaling, and I wanted to be more buy and hold. So we amicably decided this was a good way for us to go your way, we go my way. So we fire sold everything except for one building that I bought them out of, and then I built everything up since then in 2 years. So I have been in real estate for 4 years, but everything that we've built now is probably a 24-month journey that we put together. And I'd like to think that the reason why we've been able to scale this fast and do the things that we've done is very much in tune with what Cody Sanchez, Main Street millionaire, author, buys businesses and saving small town America. Her claim to fame is, I move faster than everybody else. By the time that you're analyzing things and deciding if it's good or bad, and underwriting, doing this, whatever, I've already done it, made 3 mistakes, fixed the mistakes, and I'm stages ahead of you by the time you even get off the ground. And that's kind of the way I like to operate. all gas, no brake investing.
I saw that on your Blink card, all gas, no brake. I love it. So take us back to the beginning. What was your first step that you actually got into investing? Not the listening to stuff, but actually taking action.
My first step was out of necessity. Really, I got into. I gave up a 6-figure a year W-2 and jumped into real estate cold turkey. I was in a construction union, and for 17, almost 17 and a half years. And then the last 8 of those years, I would either be running a job or general foreman, superintendent on a job, one of those things. I was always in management at that point. So because of that, I made really fair money. I think the last year I was $200,000 for the last year that I was working. I finished a big project. It was a $15 billion plant that I was part of building up above Pittsburgh, PA. And I had been there for 2 years. I hadn't really seen my family, my wife, and my kids, any of that stuff for that amount of time. It was very, very taxing on everybody for me to be gone like that. So when I finished that job, I was supposed to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota. There was a refinery that had caught on fire and they were rebuilding it, and they wanted me to go run that project. And I said, I haven't been home in 2 years. Let me at least go home for a month. Let my wife know I exist. Let the kids know who I am, and then I'll go to Minnesota. So I went home, took the kids on vacation to Myrtle Beach, and was there for a week. It was great vacation. First one we've taken in 2 years. And the last night we were down there, we were at an Airbnb and overlooking the ocean. It was really awesome way to finish the week. And my youngest, he was probably 4 or 5 at the time, climbed up on my lap, and we were out on the deck and just enjoying the evening. And he said, "Hey, when we get home, are you going back out on the road again?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, buddy. Like, we just moved to a new area to get close to your grandma and grandpa. Like, mommy wants a new house. I want you to have a swimming pool like we had at the old house. Like, I make more money than mommy does. So yeah, I've got to go back out on the road." And he's kind of started crying and said, "I wish you could just stay home because I miss you." That was it. I was done. Driving home the next day, I told my wife I'm not going back out on the road again, that we were going to have to find something else for me to do so I could be home with the kids. And that's when I quit a 6-figure job to do something that I had no experience in. I'd never done real estate in my life. Never even thought about it up until that point. So I basically was looking for a way to supplement my income, so that way I could stay home and tuck my kids in bed every night, take them to school every morning, and be who they needed me to be for them, right? So I just kind of stumbled into sub-2 community. Didn't even realize how impactful it was going to be on my life to be a part of the community and the things that it has brought me because of my education and everything that I put into it. I mean, you get out of it what you get into it, and it's truly what it is. But yeah, I told my wife, like, she thought it was a scam. Like, honest to God, looking back on it, I tell the story a lot because it's probably the hardest deal I've ever done in real estate, was convincing my wife to let me do sub-2, because it was, I think, $10,000 at that time to join. It was something that I found through watching YouTube videos of Pace Morby, you know what I mean? And me trying to convince her, yeah, I'm going to quit a 6-figure job that I've had for 17 years with all the benefits in order to jump into something that I've never done before. You got to think, June of 22, we were coming out of COVID, right? So you're coming out of the most aggressive real estate market in history, not, of a time period like ever exists. The most appreciation, the most growth. It was just an absolute crazy time in real estate, right? So I had never done a real estate deal in my life, never even bought my own house. I paid cash for everything. And the only time that I had ever bought a piece of real estate and actually had it recorded at a courthouse was I bought a single wide trailer for me to live in when I was single. and I had written on a napkin, "Hey, I'm buying this for $3,500." And I took it to a courthouse so they could write me a title for it. Not even a deed; it was a title for a single wet trailer, right? But that's the only real estate experience I had when I got into this. So for me to go to my wife and say, "Listen, I'm going to be a real estate investor with no experience, coming in out of COVID with the most aggressive real estate market in history, giving up a six-figure job that I've had for 17 years with all the benefits of retirement, all of the security that we had with that." And we had just moved to a new area that I didn't know anybody. I'm not from where I live at now. I lived about two hours away, and I had plenty of friends and resources and everything there. If I wanted to take this leap, that would help me, and that would help me get caught up. But to have no resources, to have no references, to have nobody even know who you are, right? All because I watched some YouTube videos about an online community that I have to pay $10,000 to be a part of. That is going to teach me how to be a real estate investor. It's kind of a hard sell for somebody. My wife was not on board at all about me doing it. And she thought that, there's no way you can raise private capital. There's no way that sub 2 was legal. There's no way that people are going to do seller finance deals with you, because why would they? What's the benefit of it? There was so many things that she was trying to punch holes in as far as conceptually that we've proven wrong to this point. I've scaled this and built this and done this now. She doesn't doubt anything that I say now. But at the time, this all sounded like I was getting there was a Nubian prince was wanting to send me $1 billion. That's basically what she thought was going to happen. You know what I mean? So she thought it was all a scam, to be honest. So it was a lot for me to get her on board, for me to jump into it. My first 6 months, probably, I spent 7 days a week, 16, 18 hours a day, watching every video, watching every training, door knocking, going to every real estate brokerage, trying to get my name out there, trying to find people in this local market that, you got to think, coming out of the COVID bubble, you would put a house on the market. I was selling a house, you put the house on the market, within 3 days, they have 10 offers, 5 of them over asking price. You know what I mean? It was just that crazy of a market at the time. So for me to come in and be like, "Oh yeah, if you ever want to sell your house, I have this creative thing that we do that has never really been seen before. Also, I've never done a deal before, but I'll make sure that it's taken care of." You know what I mean? The credibility that I had at the time to be able to come in and do the things that I was wanting to do was absolutely not there. And I wasn't even ready. There's so much education that you get from just learning and doing and failing and learning and failing and learning and failing and learning that I wouldn't have given me a chance back then. So I can't blame the realtors or the sellers. You know what I mean? So it's definitely been an experience.
Part of the Dream Start On podcast is to start. And if you haven't started by getting your LLC, or if you need another LLC, use the link below to get with PCS, Prime Corporate Services, and they'll give you a consultation to walk you through getting your LLC. You can do it yourself, but they're going to walk you through it. They're not going to charge you extra than what you would pay doing it yourself. And they know how to set up the LLC appropriately to be protected, to get your operating agreement, and to make sure that you're coded correctly for the most business funding. Why do you want business funding? Because it doesn't affect your personal credit as much, and you can get so much more to help you scale faster, move faster, and grow faster. So use the link below to get your LLC set up with Prime Corporate Services. Now back to the episode. Wow, so much to unpack there. You had your dream, you were doing your job, and then your kid gave you that ignition to step away from that and just completely turn your life around.
Yeah.
And you were already successful, and then to go, but then you had that drive. So you also had your family there to push you, but then you also had your wife to tell you, no, don't do this. So I'm so proud that you did that, for yourself, to be able to do that for your family, not being selfish for yourself and be like, I have the comfort of doing this on my job. I know what I've been doing for 17 years, but to say, I'm going to flip it for my child.
So she's a mortgage loan officer. So she comes from the banking side of it. So the concept of doing anything creative is outside of her wheelhouse completely. right? Because they have a very strict way they have to do it, and they have to be in compliance, and like this is the only way that it works. Kind of a mindset, right? And that's how she does her job, her loans, and everything like that. So for me to pitch to her that there was anything else, absolutely was like I was speaking Dutch the entire time. There's just no way, right? But
Yeah.
I think the reason why it works, the reason why we've been successful, and the reason why that we've done the things that we've done, and I say we because she's been instrumental in jumping in and helping and doing things that we do now. You know what I mean? Before it was just me, trying to figure it out. But now that she sees the proof of concept and everything we've done, she's absolutely instrumental in doing the things that we are doing and growing and building. I don't have any fear. A lot of people get paralyzed because they're scared of what might go wrong or what might not go right or what might happen. I've never been somebody that's afraid of those things because I'm always that person that feels like they can figure out the options, right? They can figure out how to get out of a situation and make the best out of it, right? So I'm never paralyzed to move forward. I'm always somebody that's like, yep, I do my due diligence. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't just like haphazardly jump into situations and like, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like there's always a risk and reward scenario that you have to underwrite and make sure that you're putting yourself in the right position to win. But I'm never scared that if I don't, you know what I mean? So that's probably a difference between me and most people.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that don't think that way. A lot of people are afraid and they don't want to get uncomfortable. So, man, that's great that you did that. When you were in the plants, the refinery, what position did you have? Like, what kind of craft was it?
I was a union insulator.
Insulator.
So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I used to work with you guys. I was a pipe fitter.
Okay.
Yeah, so I put all the pipe and you guys would put it up there and then we wouldn't finish our pipe and we go destroy the insulation.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I got lucky to get into that too. So when I joined the union, I joined it coming out of the military, and in this area, it's very much, you're not in the union unless you're a legacy hire, which means somebody in your family or somebody that you know recommends you to be in it. And I was the first person in the union that I was in. I was the first person that wasn't a legacy hire. I've never been related to somebody or isn't married to somebody's daughter that got a recommendation to come into it. I was the first person that was outside of the box that got hired into the union in 80 years. You know what I mean? I was the very first one. And so I was super lucky to even get into the union and to do it for 17 years and travel the country and go to these refineries and jobs, stuff like that. Like it absolutely showed me what was possible. Like I knew there were people that did bigger and better things. You know what I mean? I just never thought that it was something that I needed to do. I needed to focus on my craft. You know what I mean? Which is absolutely stupid. You're signing up to breathe poison for a living. There's not a thing, not a piece of insulation out there that doesn't cause cancer of some sort. You know what I mean? The studies prove it. So to sign up and breathe poison for a living for 17 years and then think that you were good to go after that is not something that I miss at all.
Oh yeah. And then not even the insulation, thinking about just being in the plant, the stuff that gets out there that's released that you got to work with and all the chemicals. It's pretty wild. I'm happy I was able to get away from it as well. And then grinding, we grinding metal and having all these little shards. I'm pretty sure that gets breathed in, but nobody, it's, we could have a whole nother episode on that.
Yeah, you go blow your nose and it's all black because of the stuff you've been breathing. Yeah, I don't miss that at all.
What about your military service? Which branch were you in?
I was in the Army.
Okay. Thank you for serving. My brother was in the Marines.
Awesome. It was probably the thing that was the biggest impact of my life. I was not a good person when I went into the military. I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. I was young and thought I was the best. And it humbles you and shows you a level of responsibility and truly had to become a man, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I know there's women in the military, but that's what it did for me. Like it really matured me and made me somebody better that has led me to be this. So definitely was a worthwhile thing for me to do in my life.
We'll say responsible adult.
Responsible adult. I like that.
Awesome. So when you did jump into the real estate, what do you think was harder than you expected?
Harder than I expected. I would say the partnerships. You go into it, especially in sub two. When I got into sub two, there was 4,000, a little over 4,000 people. I think 4,400 people when I joined sub two. Back then, there was a vetting process. Like you had a questionnaire, like you had to answer and everything like that. Not everybody got in. It was very, very prestigious, I would say, right? At least that's how I would describe it. And now, I think New Reach has got it, and they are trying to make it one of the biggest communities in the country, and they have definite goals and things like that they want to do with it, and God bless them for that. But there's a lot more people in it now. There's like 18 or 19,000 people in sub two. Just sub two, not counting Gator or any of these other sub communities, right? So when you get that many people, when I got into it, you were taught that if you're in sub two, like it meant something, that you were like valuable, you were worthwhile, that you were trustworthy, and you basically carried a level of responsibility, not only for you to do better for you, but for you to do better for your partners, right? And I've gotten into a couple of partnerships with sub two members that have turned out to be unethical and not worthwhile. And it's really been tough. You know what I mean? It's probably set me back further than anything else, because I've had to defend myself and defend our integrity because of bad partnerships that have come out of sub two. No shade thrown to sub two at all. Like it's not their fault. I didn't do the due diligence I should have done. I did not protect myself the way I should have protected myself. You know what I mean? But it's the partnerships and what you're getting into and what you're signing up for, what everybody's roles and responsibilities need to be in those partnerships is probably the thing that I struggled with the most, because there's not just one case that this has happened. It's been multiple cases that I've had to make these choices and bad decisions and come back from it. So that would probably be the thing that I struggle with the most.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point there. Thinking about when you make a partnership with somebody, that even though they're the ones doing the bad thing, because you're a partnership, it can actually tarnish your name as well. Good point, good information. That's something I didn't really think about either. And then talking about partnerships, even though you get along with somebody, you're doing a good thing, you have to write it down in your operating agreement, who's going to do what, because you're always going to assume the other person's going to do something, and it shouldn't fall on you.
The best way it was described to me is when you're getting married, everything's great. The wedding day, the cake, the first dance, you have the photographer, you have a bouquet of flowers, everything's great. Everybody tells you how great marriage is. They don't tell you how ugly divorces can be, right? That's what you need to prepare yourself for. You know what I mean? You hope you never get divorced. You hope you never have a partnership breakup. You hope that everything goes the way it's supposed to go. And if it does, no harm, no foul, right? Well, in the event that a divorce does happen, if you're not putting the things in there that you need to put in there, if you're not putting in how you're going to dissolve and how you're doing dissolution and the ethics code that you put in the operating agreement to make sure that everybody is performing ethically and moving forward in the same direction, whether you have disagreements or not, like there still has to be a level of ethics that we put on ourselves and we put on our partnerships and like we portray out to customers, right? That's important, and that could be the thing that hurts you the worst. Like you can lose money, yeah, you can go bankrupt on a company and lose your assets and lose all of that stuff, but all of that stuff is obtained again, right? What you can't obtain again is your reputation, your values, because like you said, somebody else is acting out of pocket. It could absolutely come back on you, like you were doing it with them. You know what I mean? When you really had nothing to do with it at all. So making sure that you have those provisions and you can protect yourself for that is probably the thing that I would preach the most to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So for those of you watching, when you do an operating agreement for your LLC, you have to go somewhere else for a deeper dive. This is for entertainment, but you do want to make sure you write down who's going to be responsible for what. And then if somebody doesn't do their thing, how you basically buy them out or get that person kicked off of the agreement because they're not fulfilling their portion. If you don't put that in there, you're going to just regret it in the long run.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So pivoting back to, you're doing a lot of rent to own, is that right, in the Ohio area?
Yes. So I have, and I'll say this to anybody, and I've been waiting for somebody to prove me wrong. I have the greatest market in the country. I'm in a market that burrs still work. I'm in a market that it's an 83% rental market. They don't have a whole lot of financial education in the school systems here, right? They cover the basics, math, English language, but there's really no financial literacy. So you get people that their parents have rented this house their entire lives. And then when they graduate and get out and get on their own, they've only known renting properties. They've never known how to invest in that real estate, how to invest in the stock market, how to better themselves. They go out, they get a better job, they make good money, but they've always rented after that too. You know what I mean? So a lot of the properties that we pick up through either cash or creative deals, we completely renovate, make them look like they're brand new again. And then we set it up as a rent-to-own program for people to come in and have the opportunity to have home ownership of themselves in a fully renovated house from day one. So that way we're teaching them, hey, this is what it takes to do this. If they have bad credit or poor credit, we can offer like coaching programs, credit coaching, things that they can do to better themselves to where they are put in a better situation for home ownership over time. You know what I mean? And that's something that I don't know anybody else does.
Oh, that's fabulous. Being able to help people to another level, because people just think they're day to day, they buy a house and that's it. But you're offering an education that's going to benefit them, not an education to benefit you, but that's going to benefit them, not just on that house, but just for hopefully the rest of their life.
Well, it does a lot of things, right? So let's just say somebody has student loans and they're struggling to get by and stuff like that. There's ways that you can alleviate student loan debt. I'm not saying that like the federal government write-off program or whatever. I mean, that's an option, but I'm not saying that specifically. You know what I mean? But there are ways that you can, reduce payments. You can do interest only on it. You can restructure things to where it doesn't hurt you from being able to move forward with home ownership. Medical bills are a big thing. Credit card bills that people, go to college and they get 5 credit cards and not know anything about it. And then they rack up all this debt to where they've just been paying interest for years and can't get out from underneath of it. You know what I mean? We can step in and help understand how to get out from that, set up programs to do that, all while you can live in a fully renovated property while you're building your credit back and putting yourself in a position to be able to purchase it down the road. You know what I mean? Or there's times that we can do in-house financing where you don't even have to worry about going and applying and getting anything like that. So for people that are maybe not in the best situation, if we're providing this financial literacy to help you better your credit score and take you from, say, a 600 to a 700, what does that do for an interest rate? You know what I mean? It could lower an interest rate by 1.5 points, which saves you tens of thousands of dollars over the lifetime of a loan. You know what I mean? Stuff that people don't necessarily think about because it's not a romantic thing, but it's absolutely beneficial. And it's absolutely something that I think as a country, not just in my local market, if there were more people that were focusing on this and trying to build this out, I think we'd be better off as a whole.
Oh, I completely agree. That's one of the things on my vision is to help out people with affordable housing, but not just provide the housing, teach them how to be able to provide housing for others. So they're making money, they're learning, and they're teaching others, and just, making it better for one person at a time.
Yep.
Talking about rent to own, it gets a bad reputation because it can get abused. I want to talk about doing it ethically and still being able to profit.
Yeah. So in this area, there were 2 people, specifically to investors, that would go out and they would buy essentially distressed properties. They would do very little repairs to it, and then they would offer it to people what they would call as rent to own, but they did it on land contracts, right? But they would put wording in the contract that would allow them to essentially take the property back after somebody paid for it for years and years and years, right? Almost a yo-yo effect. Like, you'll live in this house for 15 years, and then all of a sudden they'll come in and say, oh, no, you defaulted because you were 1 day late 3 years ago. You know what I mean? And then take the property back, do bare minimum repairs at that point, put you through court as an eviction or a foreclosure, and then bring somebody else in and do it again and get a down payment and get a monthly payment, and then just rinse and repeat the cycle. And a lot of people do that, you know what I mean? And then that's what really gives rent to own a bad name. You know what I mean? That is the thing that I fight weekly, is to separate myself from people like that. We don't do land contracts like that. We don't set those up in order for people to do it. Essentially, the way we structured our rent to own program is essentially like educational lease option program, right? You come in with an option payment down, and that gives you the first right of refusal, whether you want to purchase the property or not. We're pricing it at what market prices are. So if you were to go out and buy a house, a 3-bedroom house worth $150,000, I'm not charging you $250 just because I'm letting you into this program. You know what I mean? You're buying it for the price that the market dictates. You know what I mean? So there's no inflation or anything like that. And then you are essentially renting it with the option to purchase. And we help build your credit up so that way, once you get to the point that you can purchase it, then, you know, you have the best credentials and the best qualifications to do it. You've already lived in this property. You paid every month. We help you fix your credit. The option fee that you give up front, we actually take that off the purchase price, right? So you have equity built into the property when you go to buy it. So that allows you to have to put less money down. So you're getting into a better property with no money out of pocket at that point, or less money out of the pocket when it comes time to do a loan, because you have that money essentially as your seller concessions or a down payment fee at the end of it. You know what I mean? So all of that builds up to where it allows you a better opportunity to get into a property with equity that you've already built a home out of. You know what I mean? And we want people to do it. I think the national average is, for rent to own, it's like 90% of people don't pick up the option for home ownership over the country. Like, I want that. I want to be at like 50. You know what I mean? You're never going to get 100% because there's going to be, you know, they have a 2-bedroom house and then they had a kid, so now they need a 3-bedroom house. So like, their life things change, or they got a job across the country, so they're not going to pick up the option because they're not going to be here anymore. There's things like that change, but for the most part, I don't want it to be because of me, of why you don't get the house. I'm not going to set you up for failure. Anything, I want you to succeed, because you're going to say that I was given this opportunity by Rich Investments Group that nobody else gave me, and you should definitely do it too. Like, the word of mouth, the spread for us to be able to have repeat customers, a referral business, and everything like that, and build that out is just going to be so powerful after, you know, you hit the ground running and build that out. That, you know, I want to be the reason why more people. I want to have more HUDs for people buying houses off our rent to own program than the bank does. You know what I mean? I want to be that guy. So
it's an excellent goal. So when you're doing the credit repair, credit education, financial education, is that going to be part of their login when they log in to make payments to see their balances on their house?
So that's something that they opt into, right?
Okay.
Like, if you want fix your credit, stuff like that, I can't make you do it. I can recommend it. I can say, like, I think this would be perfect for you. This is going to be something to do, but you have to opt into it. You know what I mean? And like I said, my wife is she's a mortgage loan officer. We'll do a soft credit pool where it doesn't affect your credit, find out where your discrepancies are and stuff like that, and kind of have a base of know where to come from. And essentially, she's going to be texting, or another one of our credit specialists have gone through the training to know how credit affects mortgages and things like that. We'll send out text messages and things to you, say, listen, like, if you do this letter to a credit bureau, or you dispute this, or if you do this, it's going to knock it off your credit and it's going to help you in the future. You know what I mean? You have 5 Netflix accounts. You don't need that many. Like, you know what I mean? Like simple stuff like that people don't even think of, that like may not kill it dramatically, but it may be dropping you 5 points a month. You know what I mean? And you not even know it's really hitting you. But you add that up over the course of a year, like that's a significant drop you have from one year to the next that could easily be taken care of if people are helping you watch it and keep you on track.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things is people actually taking the action to do it for themselves. A lot of people, unfortunately, won't. On your rent-to-own program, who's responsible for the repairs?
Depends on the way that we set it up. There are some places that we set it up that we can charge a little bit more in rent as far as the rent-to-own stuff, but we would still do the maintenance on the properties and stuff like that. If you want to have a lower monthly payment, then we subjugate that as part of the contract that we sign up, that, hey, you're responsible for the day-to-day maintenance. If there's a major issue that's above your scope of work, then you can absolutely put it in our maintenance portal. And my crews will come out and fix the major issues. You know what I mean? But it essentially will get billed back to you at that point. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to worry about coming up with $1,000 to fix the plumbing or something like that sporadically. Like we can do that, and we can just help you set up a payment plan or something like that to help get you through those things.
And most of these are flips that you've done, so you basically have a really good idea of what has a higher chance of failing because it didn't need to be done yet, or it just age there. So that's good. I've never done fix and flips, but I've always thought if I were going to do a fix and flip, I would like to take pictures of everything that I'm doing. So when the next home buyer buys it, they can see, hey, this is what we changed and here's pictures of everything. Do y'all do anything like that? Is that something common with fix and flippers?
So Workyard is an online program that we have adapted that helps us on 2 fronts. On the maintenance side of it for our property maintenance company, it allows them to go in. They take a picture before they do the project. So if you have a leaky faucet or an issue, they take a picture beforehand, give a brief description of, kitchen faucet is leaking or the sink's leaking. This is what I'm going to do to fix it. They take a picture of it after it's done. This is a completed project. Everything works as it should. It's been tested. And then it essentially geofences them at that location. So it shows up when they show up. They get the pictures of everything, and then when they finish, they take a picture, and it geofences when they leave the house. So that way, we have records and everything showing that we did exactly what we were supposed to do. What it does on the flip side of things, when we do fix and flips, it allows us to make sure that we keep on schedule. So if we know week 1 we're doing demo, we're doing outlet switches, switching those out, we're going to be doing these certain things, it allows us to take pictures daily and know what progress we're doing, so that by the time we get to Wednesday, we know we're not going to get everything done. We can allocate either more manpower or restructure the schedule to know that we're going to be on time and still stay on budget. Whereas if you don't track those things, it's very easy for you to be 1 day behind, 2 day behind, 3 day behind, that sort of thing. And then by the time of it, you're 3 weeks late on your schedule. So,
oh yeah, that could easily add up. Do you have an affiliate link for that? If you do, send it to me and I'll make sure we put it down in the description below.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, people watching this, if you're getting any knowledge or great information, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. Drop a comment if you're in Ohio and you want to learn from Eric, or you're looking to pick up, buy your property and become an owner. When you're ready to finance your next property, if it's going to be through hard money lending, if you need a construction loan, a BRRRR method, conventional loan, hey, check out my link below for Deal Funding 360. Julian and his team have been doing it for over 20 years, and they're super knowledgeable. They're going to give you all the tips and tricks. And don't just use them by themselves. Make sure that you use multiple options. I like to put them against each other and see which one gives me the best rate. They'll start dropping off themselves saying they can't match that rate. Hopefully get the best deal that way. Make sure you use the link below and tell them I sent you. When people are looking at a rent to own, what are red flags that they should watch for?
Definitely look at your contracts, because the red flags for me is always going to be how are you going to be defaulted, right? If somebody has in there that if you don't tell them by this date that you're going to pick up the option or that you're going to keep the property, you're automatically in default. Therefore, they can take the property back. It doesn't matter how much money you paid them, right? Know that the ways that you can be held accountable as far as being a default. Making sure the condition of the property, right? You doing a rent to own is no different than you going out and purchasing a property. A regular inspection for something, if you went and bought it off the MLS, costs about $300 here, right? You're going to be signing your name to something you're going to be spending tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on. Do you really want to not pay $300 to do an inspection from a third party to make sure that you're not buying something that has termite issues or foundation issues or something like that? You know what I mean? Because once you sign the contract, you're locked in. You know, they can hold you just as accountable as you hold them. And that's not what a lot of people don't think that's the way it goes. It's a two-way street. The same way that I would hold somebody accountable if they didn't pay me, I can also hold you accountable if you sign the document and just think that you can walk away from it. You know what I mean? You can go get an attorney and come after for damages and judgments because you defaulted on the contract. So it goes both ways. Make sure that you're protecting yourself and you know what you're signing up for. I would say those are probably the best ways to do it.
Yeah, and with today's technology, you have AI. Drop your contract in there, ask it to give you red flags on there, and then if you can afford an attorney, look for an attorney. Some attorneys won't do it for too much with just going over this because they're just reviewing. Quick note: this is educational, not legal or financial advice. Do your own due diligence. You got to do your own due diligence, not just that guy on YouTube said it.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that we have to say that stuff now? Like,
yeah, it's people will take it too seriously, too legit for some things.
Yeah.
Where do your deals come from today?
Actually, we source all of our own deals. So I have a marketing division that goes through and we do acquisitions, all of it inbound leads. We do direct mail still. We do PPL, PPC, direct to agent. I have several agents that are bringing us deals, every month. So we have probably 5 or 6 different marketing channels that we tie into in order to bring deals in for us. We buy everything off market unless it's an agent deal. I don't go searching the MLS or Facebook Marketplace or any of that stuff to try and, score gold. I would much rather people reach out to us and us help them out of bad situations other than us looking to lowball somebody on a deal that they have that they're really trying to sell to a homestead buyer. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I know there's plenty of people that do it. That's just not our cup of tea. You know what I mean? I'd rather have somebody that's distressed. You know what I mean? There's always somebody like they lost a family member and now they have a house they never wanted to begin with and it's out of probate and they just want to get some inheritance money out of it and move on with their lives. You know what I mean? We buy those all the time. You know what I mean? Probate attorneys are actually a really good resource for that scenario because you'd be surprised how many people have no idea what to do with the house. You know what I mean? Like they inherited a property from a family member that passed away and they just don't know what to do now. You know what I mean? And we provide those options. We provide those outs. So, but yeah, there's no shortage. I think I want to say, and this is just one that I remember because it was such a crazy 10 days. I think the end of last year, we had a 10-day span. We had 13 deals in 10 days that we locked up. Just crazy. So yeah, there's always opportunities. So,
yeah, I like what you said there. I like what you said there is helping people out. You don't have to take advantage of them. There's so much room and space to be able to help people out and still be profitable and help out the next family that goes there because they run into situations like you said, they lost a family member that had a house and that house is no longer needed.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We have somebody right now we're talking to, they're getting ready to go into a foreclosure. You know what I mean? They They got a new loan back in COVID times. It was supposed to be a 20-year loan, and they were fine with it. And it turned out it had a 5-in-1 arm on it. And now the arm is kicked up, and the bank has jumped their interest rate up through the roof. They went from 2.8% to 6%, which absolutely it added $400 a month to their payment. And they just aren't equipped for that. You know what I mean? So yeah, they're stepping in and helping in those situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for those of you listening, ARM is adjustable rate mortgage. If you're not an investor or experienced and you have that on your loan, I highly suggest staying away from it. Again, check with the CPA.
Yeah.
So
purely entertainment.
When you first started, what were the things that you tried to pick up properties that didn't work for you?
Multifamily. That's what I got into, because like I said, I gave up a 6-figure salary, cold turkey. I did what Pace told us not to do. Keeping your W-2 is a superpower, right? It was not that person. I absolutely quit at the drop of a hat, said I'm not going back out on the road. I'm going to make this work, by hell or high water. This is where I'm going to be, and this is what I'm going to do. And if I put all my time and attention and everything to it, then that's how we survive. So my way of doing that was getting into a big multifamily property, even partnering with it, because those multifamily properties can produce $10,000, $15,000 a month in income, right? So if I'm giving up a 6-figure job and I get into 1 or 2 of those, that gives me my 6-figure income back by the end of the year. You know what I mean? So that is what I focused on when I got through the sub-2 trainings and everything like that. I absolutely focused on multifamily, and there were some big names in the community that were in the multifamily space, and I talked to them, and I was a newbie at 3 months in, and I was talking to them hey, how can I get in and help you guys and provide value? And they said, oh, well, when you find a deal and you think you like it, just send it over into our underwriting platform. We'll do the underwriting. If it's something we can do, then we'll partner with you and bring you in, and we'll do it together. And I'm like, sweet. That seems like a really easy way of getting into multifamily. So I did nothing but source multifamily deals, and I was giving them 10 a day. I was talking to every broker in the country that I could reach out to. I was searching every platform, LoopNet, everything. Not even knowing what I was looking for. I was grasping at straws. 99% of these deals were not even deals. They were just crazy. Somebody wanted more money than it was ever going to be worth type of properties. You know what I mean? But I didn't care. This was how I was going to do this. This is what I was going to do. And I was relentless. I was 8 to 10 properties a day, 7 days a week. I was just funneling them to these people. Yep, this is a deal. This is a deal. This is a deal. And didn't even think about what that looks like. Even if there was a deal that I sent them, the volume of deals that they had to scour through in order to underwrite the one good one is more than they could have ever done. You know what I mean? And looking back on it now, I know how lengthy and how much time it really does take to look through those types of deals and underwrite them and look at the P&Ls and the T12 statements and P&Ls, profit and loss statements. So when you look at multifamily properties, that's what you look at. You look at profit and loss statements, and you look at a T12, basically what the income versus expenses has been over the last 12 months. You know what I mean? So you can go further than 12 months, but generally 12 months is enough for you to understand, where that property is at and what they're doing, because a multifamily is looked at differently than a single family house. It's more of a business by itself as opposed to one house would be. So the way you underwrite it and the way that you have to get the value out of it is a way deeper underwriting thing than you would ever imagine, right? So to go through 10 a day, that's all you're doing. It's one person would spend the entire day and they would only underwrite my stuff in order to get to it. And there's not a lot of people that would provide that amount of time to be able to want to do that. So it didn't pan out for me very well. So
yeah, it's a different beast and a lot more to look at.
Yeah. The typical multifamily, I think it's 60 to 90 days to close because of that. You know what I mean? You can buy a single family house in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? But to go through a big multifamily, it's 60 to 90 days from start to finish, to get everything closed and finished out, because the amount of due diligence and the amount of financial records that you have to go through and make sure that you're getting what you're buying, what you're paying for. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and if you're not experienced, you're going through all those deals, and people out there, just because you found a property that's for sale, it's not a deal. It's a lead. It's not a deal until the numbers make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
not a deal until you make an offer.
Yeah. I want to build on something a lot of people miss: community and
Okay.
reputation. Because in a local market, that's the edge. So you being
That's
in
it.
Ohio, smaller market, that's the edge. You've leaned into building trust locally. How have you built credibility in your market? What's worked for you?
Keeping your word. That is the absolute thing. So, um, having credibility as a business in of itself in a small community is hard enough, right? You get one person that goes on Facebook and says that I didn't have a good meal at this restaurant, or I was treated badly at this gas station. It's going to sway a lot of people to not want to go there and partake in those things. When you're the only person that is doing creative financing in a small town, one person says that you screwed them over, one person says that you defaulted on them, one person says that you didn't hold up your end of the bargain, it's all done. Like, there is no coming back, because you're the only person doing that. It's not like they can go to another restaurant or go to another gas station. You know what I mean? It's you've essentially killed that market. You know what I mean? And if this is where you do business at, is these small markets, like, it's incredibly detrimental if you slip up and don't do what you say you're going to do, right? I've had to go out and pay people, contractors, that absolutely like screwed us. You know what I mean? It's better to pay them and then go back and try to recoup the money than it is by not paying them and have them have the narrative that you didn't pay them, or you didn't do what you said you were going to do, or didn't do whatever. And that's a hard thing to swallow sometimes, but it's a necessary evil, and if you're going to operate in small town America. So
Yeah, it's not something I ever thought about. Having a contractor that's done a horrible job, and then you still should pay them, because if they tell the next contractor that could be the best and help you like scale, that other contractor's gonna be like, "Well, you didn't pay this other guy." But you're like, "Well, they did a shitty job." They're not gonna listen to that. They're just gonna listen to the part about not being paid and having to come to the back end to try to recover your money.
or even if it's not a contractor, right? If everybody knows everybody's here, right? So you don't know who's friends with who. If I'm sending out my direct mail marketing to somebody, um, and they know that contractor personally, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I just got this letter from Rich Investments Group. They were interested in buying my house." That contractor's be like, "I wouldn't deal with them. He screwed me over on this, and this," and they're not going to know any different, right? Whereas if you just bite the bullet, you pay it up front, you go back to recoup your money down the road, but it saves your name and saves your reputation, to where maybe you paid him 20 grand to do a project for you, and now you got to chase your money, but now you have an opportunity to buy this house that you can make 40 grand off of. You know what I mean? Like, it's really about putting things in perspective to see what the lesser of two evils are. You know what I mean? Do you want to be known for somebody that stands up and runs with it? Or do you want to be known as somebody that didn't pay somebody unjustly, but now you got to deal with the consequences from it? So that's just the way that we've done it.
That's invaluable perspective there for people in the small town. In Houston, we're so large. It's still a small town, but it's so large that there's a lot. You can go a lot of months, a year before you figure out that's something. That's a good point. So if you're in a small market, remember that. Take that into consideration. It's going to hurt, but in the long run, it's going to pay out and help you. Because, like you said, small persons can easily say, "I know that dude. They didn't pay me $5." And just that one thing, it could be $5. It will put a negative thought in somebody else, and help ruin you. You don't want that.
I ended up buying a house because the same contractor screwed somebody else over. like the same contractor went out and did bad work for somebody else, and they ended up wanting to sell the property. They called me and said, "Hey, did he work for you? Da 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 da." And yeah, he did. Well, he just screwed me out of $15,000 on this property. And I was like, yeah, I absolutely can see that. We're actually going to be, litigating and going after the money to get our money back. But I still paid him up front. And then it ended up that person had another property that they couldn't afford to fix up now because they just lost that money from the contractor. They were going to put 15 grand in flooring or whatever into this other house. I ended up buying the other house and flipping it and making 35 grand off of it. You know what I mean? So it truly, I like, it is, you reap what you sow, right? If you do what you're supposed to and you conduct business accordingly, you're going to get it back one way or the other. So karma, I guess.
Yeah, no, well said. And it makes sense. You think you're going to do something for this one, but it could eventually just build up or come back and bite you. Karma, goodwill, law of reciprocity, if I said that right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you did go to multifamily to your fix and flip, did you go straight to fix and flip, or did you go to wholesaling? Did you do both at the same time?
So okay. I had that partner. So I gave all those deals and everything to the I guess leaders of sub 2. Never got any traction with it. And so I was like, well, maybe we're just chasing the wrong kind of a deal. Maybe I need to do like a different strategy to get into these multifamilies. So I was hearing a bunch about Morby methods and how you could use a Morby method. So I was like, this would be perfect. I can find a big multifamily. We can get into it as a Morby method. And then that's how I'm going to get into multifamily. So I put it on the sub 2 Facebook page. Hey, has anybody got any experience with Morby methods that would want to partner with me? I'll do all the lead generation. I'll do all the boots on the ground. If you're just the expert on Morbies, then let's partner up and let's figure this out. And there were two gentlemen that had bought, I think, a 17 unit portfolio in Texas on a Morby method. And they said, yeah, we just went through this, and like we know the structure and the layout and everything like that. We can absolutely help you with it. So I ended up partnering with those two and going with it. So I was sending them all of these creative deals and very much the same way. I was sending them 8, 10, 15 deals a day. And after 2 weeks, they said, yeah, we're not, like, none of these match up to do a Morby on. How about instead of a multifamily, why don't we just start looking at a single family? Like, can you source single family projects and see if we can just raise private money, get into it, and at least do a flip or two to make some of our money back, and then we can continue to try to do a multifamily after that. 100%. Let's go. So next day I sent them like 10 single family houses that we were looking at, and they did the underwriting on those in much quicker time. Picked out like 2 or 3 of them. We contacted the sellers out of them. I went and walked the properties, built reputation with the sellers. I think we bought one of those 3, ended up flipping it, made $25K off of it, took that money and kept rolling with it to where we would do 2 or 3 flips, and then we would buy a house and keep it as a rental. You know what I mean? And buy 2 flips and then buy a duplex, and then couple flips, and we bought like a 6-unit apartment complex. You know what I mean? Creatively. And that's just kind of what we did at that point to start building up, a lot more experience. Looking back on it, it was a lot. It was a lot of learning, and it was a lot of action taking that probably led me to be where I'm at right now, which is probably why I've been able to scale the way I have, because, I was the boots on the ground for that entire endeavor. These are both out of state people that were, one was raising capital, the other was doing all the books and tax returns, stuff like that. Everything else, I was doing boots on the ground. I was walking properties. I was looking at things. I was building relationships with contractors. I was walking the properties with the contractors. The first flip I pretty much did on my own. I did most of the work myself in order to get it ready. I had somebody come in and help me on a couple things, but in order to get the first flip done, I was in there with my tool belt on at 11 o'clock at night. Like, I would tuck my kids into bed at 8:30 and then go out to the project until 11 and 12 o'clock, like putting up drywall and doing the stuff in order to put it in there. So yeah, it was, that's how I kind of branched from multifamily into single family. But it also forced me to have conversations with contractors, helped me establish a commercial account with Lowe's for us to build and get materials without paying up front for it. Their commercial accounts, you have a 60-day window. So I can go and put all the materials on a 60-day credit account, and it gives me 60 days before I have to pay them off, right? Well, now I have all the material I need. We can do a 3-week flip, put it on the market, and hopefully flip it before I have to pay that off. You know what I mean? So that allowed us flexibility to be able to get in and grow. You know what I mean? So I never had any of that, or didn't even know that was a possibility when I was getting into multifamily. When I had to get into single family in order to make a return, that forced me to understand these things. That forced me to build those relationships and expand my understanding of how to structure these things appropriately to build this out. So yeah, that's...
So you're telling me you learned more doing the things than watching it on YouTube and going through the course?
So much more. So much more. Yeah.
Hey, for those of you that need some EMD, earnest money deposit, for your wholesale deals, or if you need to do a double close, or if you're doing a Morby method and you need that percentage gap funded, get with Josh Smith at Foundational Funding. Get the link below. He'll do transactional lending. He did it for me. We got a fourplex, and he was able to help out with the 30% that we needed to get the deal knocked out. And excellent service they provided. They take care of all the details. And they spent a lot more time than I expected they would with the lenders to get it over the finish line. So tell Josh I sent you. The links below. Back to the episode. Excellent. No, well said. You've gone through the gauntlet. You tried the multifamily. You've done fix and flip. You have a bunch of rentals now. And now you're doing a do it for, how do you say, done for you model.
Done for you model. Yep.
Yeah, done for you model for people that they don't even have to live in Ohio. If you have investors that want to buy properties there, what are you offering?
So the done for you model is actually, I thought about this when we were in Miami. I was on the yacht, and I just got my picture taken with, I think his name is Tim Kellers. I think it was the gentleman that was down there for the car washes. I hope I'm not butchering his name.
Oh, Vic Keller.
Vic Keller. Yeah. That's it.
Yep.
I keep calling him Tim for some reason. It's like the third time I've done it this week. But yeah, took a picture with Vic and Pace and Jamil and on the yacht, and just had a really great experience. But I was sitting here thinking that I'm to the point now that I don't need more single families. I don't need more rentals for myself. Right? There's come a point that you have to evolve. You have to grow and have to build. My goal personally is I want to have 2,000 doors in the next 3 years, right? I don't, not that I want to be the next Pace Morby, because I think there's a one of one, right? Like, that man is a savage, and nobody is going to replace him. Like, he is going to be him, you know what I mean? But there's nothing that says that I can't be the one Eric Richards, you know what I mean? So in order for me to get to my goal, single families is not how I'm going to get there. I need to evolve and start looking at bigger entities. I need to look at RV parks. I need to look at mobile home parks. I need to look at multifamily now. Now that I'm established and I understand what I understand, getting into a bigger multifamily property is nowhere near as intimidating for me or scary for me. Like, I know what to look for now because I've kind of walked through the fire and I understand how to deal with the flames now. So the assembly line of what I've built, which has allowed me to scale as fast as I've scaled in the last 2 years. If I'm moving into multifamily and moving that direction, it dawned on me when I was coming back from Miami, like, it's a shame to essentially throw that away just because I want to go a different direction. Just because I don't want to buy the single families anymore doesn't mean that the process that I've used should be discarded, right? So how do I utilize this system while still looking forward to my own goals? So that's when it dawned on me, this done for you model, it's kind of perfect. You know what I mean? I have the best market in the country. So Burr works here. It's a massive rental market. So I look in sub two all the time, and there are people saying, "Hey, I wish I could get my first deal. I wish I could learn how to raise capital. I wish I could learn this. I wish I could learn that." Okay, let's figure out how we do that. So what I am proposing is I'm going to use all of my resources that I've built. I'm going to give you the keys to the castle. I'm going to show you the assembly line. I'm going to be the Henry Ford of real estate, right? We're going to have a bevy of lenders that I built relationships with that are willing to lend to you on a deal. I find you the deals because we find deals all the time for ourselves, right? I'm still going to keep my acquisition team in place. So we'll wholesale you the deal. The typical wholesale assignment fee in Ohio, I think, is between 12 and 15 grand for an assignment, right? I think we're going to charge like 7, somewhere around there. We're going to do much less, just because I'm going to be doing everything for you, right? The lenders that we work with we're getting an affiliate deal with the lenders that, since we're giving them so many deals a month, they're going to give us a referral fee for people we bring them. So I don't need to make as much off an assignment because I'm making some off the lender too, right? So the lender's going to fund the deal, purchase and rehab. My rehab crew will come out and do the rehab for you, right? So we're going to go in, we're going to renovate it just like it would be my property. So it's fully renovated. And at that point, let's say you're in the program. So I found you a lender. I wholesaled you a deal cheaper than you could find it yourself. I'm doing the renovations for you. You then get to choose, because you're the investor, whether you're going to flip it and keep active income, or you're going to refinance it and keep it as a long-term rental, right? If you flip it, you sell it, you'll make 10 to 30 grand probably, somewhere in that range. You know what I mean? But you have no money in the deal. That's free money in your pocket. You didn't have to put any of your money out there for you to be able to get that sort of return, right? If you want to keep it as a rental, just so that way you can have taxes and write-offs and depreciation and all of the great things that come with a rental market, perfect. I have banks and things that are in this area that will work with you because they know this area. They'll help you with the refinance. You refinance it. You'll make between $300 and $500 a month net off that property. But I own a property management company, so I'll do all the management to you on the backside of it. And since I have a property management company, I also have a property maintenance company. That way, if there's a water leak or frozen pipes or any of the day-to-day maintenance issues that people don't like dealing with having rentals, my maintenance crews will go out and do all the maintenance for you as well, to where you could truly be in Seattle, Washington, working for Microsoft or Nike or whatever they do in Washington. Have rental market in Ohio and West Virginia that you're pulling $300, $400, $500 a month off of, and you never have to worry about anything being done, right? The only responsibility you have is you're going to be negotiating with the lenders to make sure that you're getting the terms that you want at the very beginning, and you're going to be using your credibility to do the refinance. That's not going to be on me. That's your level of responsibility, right? The beautiful thing is, for brand new people that are trying to get their first deal, I am essentially showing you everything you need to know in real estate. This is how you get deals. I'll show you how I've sourced my lenders. I'll show you where we're getting these deals from. So I'll give you the communication log. You can hear the phone calls if you want to get that deep into it. There is 100% transparency. I don't have anything to hide, right? You can look at our work yard and see the schedule and see what we're putting out and see the work that's getting done as it's getting done, right? You can learn what it takes to do these flips and do these processes. You can have the relationship with the realtors that we work with, that when you get to flip it, you can understand, well, why are we doing this instead of that? We don't do that here. Well, this is not Washington. This is Ohio. In Ohio, there's a very specific way that you have to list properties and market properties, and you know what I mean? That it's not the same as it is anywhere else. You know what I mean? So you can have as much involvement or as little involvement as you want in the process. You can have the full education if you want it, but if you're an established investor and you just want active income, you can just set it and forget it. I'll call you in a couple months. Hey, this is ready to go. Put it on market. You know what I mean? You and this agent are going to flip this thing and you're going to make money as you go. And you're not going to have a dollar in the deal when you do it. You know what I mean? So it's a really, really, truly done for you model that you can be as involved or uninvolved as you want to be. But it provides you active income or passive income depending on what you want for your business. So
That sounds like an incredible opportunity. So you find the property, the investor uses their credit. So for a hard money loan, most likely.
Private money.
Nope. Okay, private money.
Yeah.
And then
I've sourced private money lenders, right? Let's say just for instance, I have a property 123 Main Street, right? The second I get it under contract, I send it out to all my lenders, all the group of lenders that are working with me on this project, right? I order an inspection that day. So that way I have a full inspection report. So that way when I bring it to Edgar, hey, these 3 lenders have looked at the property. They already said this would be a deal they would lend on. These are their initial terms for you to look at to see which one that you would want to talk to. Because some of them, maybe this one gives you more points than this one, but they're much easier to work with. They don't want as much, information to be able to qualify you to loan. You know what I mean? Because it's going to build a relationship with you and these lenders too. Once you do 5 deals with them, they're going to just run with it. But as they get started, you know what I mean? They're doing it because of my relationship, right? But they also need to know who Edgar is. They also need to feel comfortable with you as they move forward and do these things. So I'm gonna give you sent you the deal in the first 72 hours that we get it under contract. Hey, here are the list of lenders that are willing to lend on this deal. These are their initial terms. This is the inspection report. This is a basic scope of work that we think it's going to take to do this, right? I've got it locked up for 50 grand. I think it's going to take another 30 grand in rehab. So you're going to have 80K all in. That's just what I'm paying. My starting assignment fee is 7 grand, right? Look it over, do your due diligence. Give me your biggest and best offer after you've talked to the lenders and you know all of your stuff within 48 hours, right? And I'll send it to the investors that are out there. So Edgar would get it, but I would also have 5 other investors that are kind of in that pool of community, because maybe you don't need to do a deal right now. Maybe you're only trying to do 1 a quarter, right? Maybe somebody wants to do 1 a month, right? So I'm sending it out to everybody so that way it's out there. If somebody wants to do active income and they're willing to pay me more of an assignment fee to get it, then that's on them. These are my minimum requirements that we're going to need for you to be a part of this, and then you run with it. You know what I mean? So you're going to be able to see what the lenders need. You're going to be able to see the inspection report. You're going to be able to see probably 3 comps that we pulled when we locked it up, because we comped 3 or 4 different properties against it. You know what I mean? We're buying it at 50. It's worth 150 by the time it's rehabbed. You know what I mean? So you're going to get all that information. Do your own due diligence at that point. Go through and look at what Edgar needs to look at to know, if I keep this as a rental, this is what I can expect. If I want to flip it, this is what I can expect. If I want to do this lender or that lender because this one requires, more like processing points, or he charges an appraisal fee, or he does this, or you know what I mean? There's like, every lender has their niches. You know what I mean? It's finding the ones that you like and finding the ones that you want to build a relationship with is the key to it. But some people have no idea how to raise capital. So the fact that you have 3 people that are willing to talk to you right now that you didn't have to go source yourself, you know what I mean? That's where we're at. You know what I mean? So I think it's a pretty interesting concept and pretty interesting dynamic that I don't think anybody else is really doing. So
yeah, I haven't heard of it. I like it. If the investor decides to keep it, then at that time they'll get their own loan, either it be a DSCR or if they want to go conventional. But yeah, excellent. Where can people find you, Eric?
Facebook, Eric Richards, Rich Investments Group on Facebook, richinvestmentsgroup.com, the Eric Richards on Instagram. Reach out to any of those platforms and get in touch with us and see how we can help.
Excellent. And now you have something going on with podcast. Tell us what's going on there.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glutton for punishment, man. So I woke up on a Tuesday morning and something, I was drinking a cup of coffee and talking to my wife and like, you know what? I really think that I want to start a podcast. And so I think I'm going to do that. My wife's like, really? I was like, yeah. It sounds like a good idea. She's like, well, how are you going to do that? I was like, I don't know. I'll just build my own studio. And she's like, you're going to build your own podcast studio? And I was like, yeah. So I have a commercial building. I had a free space in it. I decided, bingo, bango, this is where we go with it. And that's where I go. You know what I mean? So I went down and brought my general foreman down. We looked at the space. I said, yeah, I want to build this and this and go from there. And she's like, oh, well, cool. Let's do it. So I built my own studio, started doing my podcast out of it. I have a buddy of mine that has been running a podcast out of his own living room for a year. Very into audio video. Great producer. He's like, I called him up. I said, hey, do you want to do a podcast at the studio? If you basically would do the recording and everything, like you can do it for free at the studio with me. And then we can just kind of build up our own thing, maybe bring some other people in and do podcasts and we can charge them and make money off of it and start building this thing up organically. And he's like, yeah, sounds like a great idea. So that's what we started doing. Bringing in other people for podcasts, started to do business advertisements for people, filming that sort of thing, and started getting a little bit of traction. And then I got in touch with a regional chapter of iHeartRadio in this area, and started talking to them. They were talking about doing distributing our content, and conversations kept escalating. And I was like, you know what? With Owners Club, Pace tells us all the time about marketing yourselves and putting your content out there, and not enough people do it, and not enough people put themselves out there and are posting or putting advertisements out that they need to put out there. I was like, this actually takes the guesswork out of it. If I did a partnership with iHeartRadio to where maybe we did the content, we did everything through Riverside, we could film remotely just like we're filming right now. You know what I mean? You're in Houston and I'm in Ohio. Like, I could do this with anybody across the country and use iHeartRadio's distribution network because they're nationwide. They can pinpoint geographically just like anybody else, probably better than anybody else, because their demographic scans and the way that they process data to know who watches what and what they do and the demographics, and being able to put all that out there is second to none. You know what I mean? That ideally, I think this is something we can do. So I started talking to iHeart, and they said, yeah, we love the idea. How many people do you think you can do it? And I said, well, just in Owners Club, we're probably at 400, 450 people right now. Yeah, 500 people. If I got 10% of that would be interested in marketing. Think of how many people do wholesaling in Owners Club, right? That instead of you paying $450 a lead through a PPL or $3,000 a month for PPC or any of that stuff, if we basically did like advertisements and things like that through iHeart and started pinpointing it to where you can do advertisements through the radio or through Netflix or through Disney Plus or Amazon Prime or any of these markets, or they own, I think, 33% of the catalog on Spotify, right? If you're at a podcast, if Edgar the Connector wants to blow up, right? What real estate podcast can they put you on as an advertisement to draw people that are watching that already to come in and watch you? You know what I mean? How much is that worth? How much is the affiliate money worth? If you built from 500 viewers this year to 5,000 viewers this year, like how many affiliates could you bring in to help pay for that marketing? You know what I mean? And blow yourself up and make yourself a name in the industry. You know what I mean? If you are buying RV parks and you want to buy 3 RV parks in, Western Florida on the Gulf, right? Pick everything up and down the Gulf and start blasting TV and radio ads, putting your name out there. You know what I mean? Like, your reputation is going to hit these sellers before anybody else's. You know what I mean? You're going to have 5 people try to reach out to the RV park, but because they recognize who Rich Investments Group is through the advertisements, it's going to get me the deal before it gets somebody else the deal, right? And that's a $2 million RV park. Is that worth a little bit of money for the advertisement, for your brand recognition, right? If you are a capital raiser and you're raising money for hotels that you're doing, or Long is doing fractional funds for laundromats, right? If you're raising a $10 million fund, you know what I mean? Pick the 10 wealthiest zip codes in the country and start advertising, hey, Rich Investments Group investment fund, guarantee you pay double digit returns on your money. Accredited investors only be able to build this out. How many more people are going to be calling you that didn't even know you existed? You know what I mean? Like, that is the power of what a partnership with iHeart can provide. And if I'm spending, like, currently in my acquisition teams, I think I spend $30,000 a month just for our marketing. If I could cut that in half by going through and doing direct marketing with iHeartRadio, like, what's that worth? You know what I mean? So I think there's a huge potential there. You know what I mean? Getting the partnership and getting the deal put together to where it makes sense for both sides as far as the moving pieces of it is where I'm working with now. There's a couple other Owners Club members that I'm talking with that know a lot more about the marketing stuff than I do. I'm more of the visionary and building the relationships and building that stuff out there, but understanding the actual marketing side of it and how to build that side of the business. We're working with them and getting that put together, but I'm hopefully by squad up in about a month. We're going to have a couple people running through it. I'm going to do it myself for a couple of my businesses, but I think I want to get another 1 or 2 people in. We're going to start marketing it and stuff and see what the real growth is. So that way I can present it with the Owners Club and say, hey, this is going to 5x your business. You know what I mean? You should definitely take a look at it and start building that out. By the end of this year, hopefully we can have 50 to 75 people that jump into and want to do it as well.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. And you have a background in marketing, right? You've done that before, and you know all about radio.
Yeah.
Not really.
So
you've learned it all on the fly doing real estate the last 2 years. So you can easily change and shift and add things to your repertoire as you're growing. Don't be afraid.
Well, I think that's the beautiful part about this is, like, I never thought in a million years that I would be getting into marketing and getting into building somebody's brand and stuff like that. The biggest complaint that Pace has, and he said it every single retreat and every single meetup and everything else, is post more, put more out there. You guys are not marketing yourselves. I market you more than you market you, and that's a problem. Like he says, the Creative Nation Tour, every stop I go to, I'm pointing out Owners Club members and saying you should be doing deals with them. Why am I marketing you more than you're marketing you? You know what I mean? This takes that away. Like, this is another one of those done for you models. It's a set it and forget it. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to have this type of marketing and this type of stuff, you don't have to post it every day. Like, my studio will do the filming, we'll do the production, we'll go through Riverside. Like, we have some amazing things that we can do through Riverside. Not just Riverside, but we have 2 or 3 other editing softwares and things like that we can do digital backgrounds, digital media. Like, we can do a lot of stuff through the podcast studio and through our production team that is really unique and sets you apart. And then when you partner that with, before you go on Disney Plus and watch Moana 2, your 30-second ad is going to pop on there saying, like, this is who you are, this is what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get better marketing than that. Like, it just doesn't exist. So to have that opportunity to present that to people inside of Owners Club, and maybe eventually into sub two, maybe I'll go that far, but I don't necessarily want 18,000 people knocking on my door. I want people that are like serious to do this. Because what I don't want is someone like, yeah, I'm in, and then they just are hawing around and like not super serious, or they don't really have a direction, or they don't really have a brand yet that they're trying to define themselves. Like that is not what this is about. You need to have people that know what they want to be and know what they're trying to do. I think Owners Club kind of pinpoints that. You know what I mean? We all have an avarice. We all have a goal that we're trying to achieve. Like, this is a way that you can achieve those goals. You know what I mean? If you, like you said, you want to do affordable housing, figure, like, you and me sitting down for 30 minutes, Edgar, I guarantee you we can figure out how we can set a marketing plan out with our partnership with iHeart to where you achieve that goal in record time. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's another thing I'm working on.
Excellent, man. I look forward to it. I'll eventually, hopefully, to use that to be able to reach out to affordable housing, sober living, help out veterans with housing, and so many more. If people want to get a hold of you for your podcast room to rent that out, they hit you up on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Instagram, the RIG Studios, plural.com, is the official studio website. We're also on Facebook with that as well. The RIG Studios on Facebook. Direct messages on there. Happy to get on and talk with you about what we can do to get you a podcast, or do marketing for you, do media for you, or how we can blow you up. That would be awesome.
Excellent, man. Yeah, I will definitely look forward to seeing how I can use that to my advantage as well. Eric, this has been great. Last question. What's one sentence you'd leave the Dream Start Own audience with?
One sentence. Don't hesitate. Hit the gas.
Hit the gas, no brakes. The Eric Richards style way.
No brakes. That's it.
Let's improve your sleep. Not by buying a new mattress or by changing your sleep time, your sleep hours, or how much sleep you're getting. As an entrepreneur, we know that you're not going to get more sleep most of the time. Check out 8 Sleep, the pod. It's a sheet that goes around your mattress, has these tubes where water runs through, and it'll adjust your temperature based on your preference. So you'll stay consistent temperature all night, and it'll adjust through the algorithm. Your consistent temperature, sleep deeper at night, sleep better. My version I got was with the adjustable base. So when I'm snoring, it helps adjust it and reduce the snore, which is very good for myself to sleep longer. I toss and turn less, and my wife likes it too. You know, happy wife, happy life. Back to the episode.
Yeah, that's essentially analysis paralysis is what everybody says happens. Like, dude, that costs you so much potential. I would say time, money, that costs you so much forward thinking, so much momentum. There's so many things that would cost you, but it's potential. Like, you have the potential for all of those things. Hit the gas. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, best way to do it. Fail forward. People listening, if you got value out of the episode, share it with a friend who's building a real business, especially if they're interested in real estate or creative paths to homeownership. Subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next episode. Be sure to catch this other episode to start your dreams and own your time like these other guests have.